Hello, welcome to part 4 of my Universally Good series where we're sculpting Alex Trebek. So in this video, I'm picking up right where I left off in episode 3, and I'm going to still work on the brow a little bit more and then see where we get. In between the time that I filmed 3 and now, I went and I looked for some better photo reference because I wasn't really happy with the reference that I was getting. So I found this younger image of him that really highlights just the shape of his skull. And I think I was kind of not seeing that because as you age, your face and your skin is affected by gravity and all kind of sinks down, and so you don't really see the shape of the skull all that much. But in this younger picture, we really get a sense of, here is the lines of his skull. It has this angular shape that I think I was missing in some of these older pictures, but it's really important to know that that is there, that is the underlying bone structure. And so I'm going to put that and spend a little bit more time working on his brow and try to get that part of the resemblance looking a lot closer to how he is. So let's dive into the sculpt again. And I can immediately see that I pulled the forehead out way too much. I just kind of went a little crazy on that forehead. So I'll pull it back into place. You don't really know how far to go. We'll figure that out later. But in terms of getting more of that shape, oh, I also saved out a different background image, which I will open here, that has another picture that I grabbed, which these highlights on his face and under this lighting, you can see so much more detail in that area than, for example, you can here. Like this, there's some bulging and highlights that are there, but this picture really kind of captures some more of the definition, and this shadow here is really great, and here we're getting that shape again. Boom, boom, boom. That shape of the forehead, and that's what I'm going to try to put in to this right here. So let's get into it. Move that hairline down. Oh, let me pull in that other image. Let's delete this one first. Where's the delete? I kind of don't like how this dial is because I can never find anything easily. There we go. It's taking over a little bit more of my screen, but that's okay. We can work around it. I also think I might change up this matte cap material a little bit. It's usually good to change it up a little bit because now you can see even more of where those shadows are hitting, and I didn't even know I had that definition there. Like in that kind of a thing, you can kind of see it, but in this it was just totally hidden. So it's always good to change it up. I'm just going to keep playing with these different matte caps as we go along. Smooth that out, and then I'll just put, using the Damien Standard brush, where these highlights are supposed to go. So that kind of comes more out here. And this is going to look really extreme. In fact, that looks way too extreme. Take that intensity down. Right there into this line, right like that, and then into the cheek. But now I have some landmarks for the bone shape. And I'm just going to smooth it down. Smooth it down. And already I feel like that's giving us more of that indentation that we were missing. Just kind of move it around a little bit. Move that. This hair is not going to be perfect, this polygon hair, because it's so feathered in this area that, and it's also kind of in the wrong place. That comes down. I'm just looking at things in relationship to. So this line of the hair comes down to meet his cheekbone. Like so. Let's pinch it. Whoop, not too much. Too much. And then there's this line of the hair, which goes across the temple. More like that. Bring these cheekbones out a little bit more. Maybe up a little bit more too. I'm looking at the profile here again. I love that sharp line in that photograph. Here it is again too. Let's add those crow's feet back in. We lost it a little bit with that volume. I'm gonna go through and throw some H polish on there, on that temple. Hide the hair for a second so we can see what's happening under it. Just so I can smooth it down a bit if it's getting too out of hand. Move that back again. Okay. So now I'm going to focus on this under eye area a little bit more. And kind of try to check out where the planes of his face are. Usually in some faces you can sort of start to see triangles around the eyes. So that's a triangle, and there's sort of this like hourglass shape in a lot of faces where the cheekbone intersects with the jowl right there, and I always sort of look for that cheekbone, jowl, and how that kind of flows. Let me undo this so I don't accidentally save over my image. Cheekbone, jowl. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on next. So I'm going to H polish, use H polish to kind of define that. And then I'll just go through with the Damien Standard brush, pick that out. If I raise it, that'll create more volume. And if I indent it, that creates the divot. Obviously that looks like way too much, but it's just there for landmarks. We got that cheek divot, the side one. Smooth it out. It's always good to go bold and then take it back. Go in, go bold, and then smooth it down. It also kind of looks like to me that there's puffiness right here in the face. Let's try some different matte caps too. No, that's a bad one. Where this area needs to be sort of taken back. Smooth it down. Less volume right under the eyes. And then I will go in with the pinch brush, and I want to pinch up along that side of the nose a little bit, right in there, to define where the nose starts. Now I'm affecting the eyelid a little bit. That's okay. Move that back into place. These eyelids are not at all final. but that's detailing to be done later. Smooth it in. And let's just kind of get this to flow a little bit better. Let me mask that off first. I'm going to go through with my pinch. Let's see, let's take stock. Let's assess the situation here. I'm looking at that shadow. Kind of have to decide how puffy he's gonna be. But in most of these photos, his cheeks do not reveal his jaw corner, so these definitely need to be a little bit more inflated. And maybe even the jaw gets pushed in. Let's build up more of that volume underneath here. I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring. She's sitting next to me on her bed snoring away. Just a little bit more detail in the neck will help for sure. What do I want to do? We're not really at the point yet of breaking the symmetry. That'll come later in probably its own video. How to break the symmetry. I feel like it's kind of protruding out too much there. Maybe the whole side of the head should come back a little bit. Just making like these little micro adjustments and seeing what feels right and what feels wrong. These for sure are not quite in the right spot. Outline a little bit more of that nostril. Let's see, how is our brow doing? I'm gonna clay it up right here where that highlight is. Just clay it up right there. clay it up. Turn off some perspective for now. How's this comparing? Might be time to sort of go in and add a little bit of the expression. Oh, look, there's some broken symmetry here. I'm just going to move that mouth so that we get a little bit better symmetry. Stitch them together. Oh, that was weird. Shouldn't affect us too much because we'll go through and break the symmetry again anyway later on. And at least the topology is the same, that I'm not gonna like go off and do anything crazy without that being perfectly symmetrical. I'm just gonna go through and keep highlighting some of the things that make him look like him. Definitely this nose, under the nose divot. Looking specifically at that image. Let's bump that up a little. And then let's clay it up. Then let's go through too and throw in this line for the chin. Whoops. Oh, I love it when ZBrush does that. That upper lip is so much the wrong shape. So much the wrong shape. It's kind of tricky though to get in there. Just takes some finagling to keep the mouth rounded. Okay. Back to that line. In this one, these lines come down much further. I'm seeing much further. And these corners come in a little bit closer, like that. Keep wanting to adjust that part of the topology. The flow right here kind of makes it hard to get those lines in the right place. It's like it wants to fit in where it feels like it should be. Let's pinch those so that we get a tighter line. And then I'm going to inflate the outer bit a little bit more. Keep rotating, keep checking your reference. You're going to memorize this face by the end of this. And that's also why I really like doing these, is because just like kind of the act of memorizing someone's face, it's really intimate, you know? Knowing every single line and every single area where there's volume or puffiness. Knowing how, really what his nose looks like. And this is not his nose. This is a really good nose picture because we're getting some more information here where there's a little bit more volume, where that cartilage ends right there. Oops. Let's make the nose wider. I feel like it's too narrow. Yeah, having those spaced out a little bit more definitely is helpful. Get rid of this little bump. Let me check this part again. So there's a line that kind of comes in like that into this shape. Smooth it up a little bit more. It's getting a little closer. Better define the bottom of the nose by just kind of pinching along right here, like that. Smooth it out a little bit more. Looking here. And now I can see here that that nostril, that this under part of the nose kind of tucks up a little bit. That line tucks up there. And the nostril comes down a little bit more. Maybe it's a little bit less wide. Less wide at the top too. Just looking right here at where those highlights fall. And right here, where that highlight is. Pulling it all down a little bit more. And noticing where it intersects with his eye. Smooth out these cheeks a little bit. I want more straightness, more of that straight line, like right there. Kind of like that. Then I'm just going to go through, pinch this up a little bit more. Whoops. Always with the pinch brush, doing too much pinching. And then I'll just push that. So I like to do this a lot, where I work on this side of the face with the move brush, and I can move things in and out by holding Alt. And I just kind of push it back, but I'm looking on this side. I'm playing with this side, but I'm looking at this side, and that works because we have the symmetry going on. adjust these lower lids a little bit so we can actually see his eyeballs. Move them in. So here, from this view, I'm noticing that there is, let me draw it. An indentation. So we've got the straight line there, then indent, then chin. And I'm missing that in my silhouette. That indent is not happening. It needs to. Indent. Indent with the mouth. Then chin. Let's make sure his mouth is like a nice arc. I'm going to put that shadow back in here by going a little too hard first and then smoothing it. You know what, let's start to decide on some sort of expression. I know I want him to be smiling, because obviously he should be smiling. I'm just going to start it. I'm not going to fully commit to an expression before I look at more reference, but I'm just going to kind of get the hint. Because when he's smiling here, the sides of his face, let's actually pull the neck back so we can actually see. This corner of his face is the most prominent right here. Let's clay it up. So I'm adding some volume, but I still don't want to lose the straight line. And obviously here he's not smiling, so none of that skin is getting pushed up quite so much. Definitely need some more neck. I'm looking right here at the jawline. That goes much more in. But then it's not quite so much a going back and forth. Whoops. Smooth down that shadow a little bit because that's super harsh line. We don't need it to be that harsh. don't want to lose that shape right here, that corner. I think these are too wide. They come in more at the top. That's looking a little bit better. There's kind of a line that I'm getting right here that's not really in that. I'm just going to smooth it. Turn up my smoothing. Oops. And I know his lower jaw does not come out that far. Looks like he has an underbite right now. Go through and pinch that up a little bit more. Zoom out and see, kind of try to assess where we're at with the overall shape. I'm definitely liking his forehead more now. Maybe it needs to go back even more. It's still pretty bulbous at the top. His chin is getting too long. Too long. How's that happening? You kind of look and you think, is his mouth in the right spot? Is his nose in the right spot? Is his chin in the right spot? I'm just playing with his hair a little bit so that I can see better what the overall head shape will look more like. Are his ears in the right spot? So many things to take care of. And I do like zooming out and sort of getting a new lay of the land every now and again. We're getting closer. It's all just a process. Definitely adding that slight smile ever so slightly. Pull it back a little bit. It's making it feel more like Alex. Okay, I'm seeing his ears are not, they don't really stick out like at all. He's very flat ears. Turn the perspective camera back on. I didn't realize that was still off. It definitely changed up the shape of his face. I might have pushed his jaw back a little too far, but that's a pretty easy fix. I'm not really in that spot. Just going through and comparing. Always looking at the silhouette. Just getting more of that eyebrow shape that we talked about. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Pinch it up, pinch it up. Where are those cheekbones? I'm losing the straight. Losing the straight. That straight always likes to go away after I start making tweaks. Cheekbones are quite a bit higher. Yeah, adding that shadow in there. What's going on over here? Smooth view. I really like the Damien Standard brush when you press Alt and it raises the area. It's a really nice, it's just a really nice brush. You can pretty much do any sort of detailing with the Damien Standard brush. His eye bags are looking really different in most of these. Oh, and this eyelid kind of got really wonky sitting on the eye. I like to sometimes too go into transparency mode and just kind of see where the eyes are sitting in the skull. And where they sit on the eyelid, and it looks like they have to come down maybe ever so slightly. Here he looks like he's got bigger eye bags, and that's where that is sitting. So let's put that in. A nice U shape right in there. Situate his eyes a little bit better, and then blend it in. Blend it in. Maybe inflate it a bit. And also just kind of define where that lid is. feel like the lids are really, they're looking really weird. Maybe they need to be inflated. Losing that cheekbone. Oops. I think we've lost kind of that protrusion. That's a bit better. Alex, and your high cheekbones. There we go. I was wondering why my move brush was feeling like it wasn't doing its whole job. You can adjust the intensity of the move brush. I know I'm not talking that much about what I'm doing, but sometimes I just kind of get in the zone and you just keep making little tweaks. Keep making the little tweaks until it just kind of comes together. And you just have to constantly be looking, constantly looking at your reference, constantly going back and forth. And I like to do these little draw overs too because it helps remind me. It like kind of puts it in my body a little bit, in my hand, of where those little changes happen. Yeah, even just doing that, that added a little bit more likeness. You know his mouth isn't wonderful yet. We'll get there. The mouth is a little trickier because it's so hard to like get in there sometimes. And his lips are quite thin, so there's not even a whole lot of room to play with. But I do want to go in and define more where all of those things, where all the breaks happen in the lips. Crank that. They're not deep there at all, but this photo's probably, I'm guessing this photo's been retouched a lot. This photo looks so smooth compared to where all of these shadows are taking place in this photo and this photo. And he also might have been a little bit younger there, but I'm guessing there was some serious retouching happening. Most celebrity portraits definitely have a lot of retouching. Let's change this up and see how it looks in some other colors. Seeing if we're getting any weird bulges anywhere that we don't notice necessarily. This brow, I don't love how that is not really flat like that. Oops. I really like the Inflate brush on low settings. The Inflate brush is not a brush that I like on high settings. The Damien Sander brush is a brush that is really useful on high settings sometimes. Of going through, creating sharp lines and then smoothing. I'm definitely liking that shape of the brow a lot more than when we started this video. The nose, the mouth still needs a little bit work. I feel like it's not fully looking like him yet, and it could just be the mouth. I feel like nailing down more of how he smiles will definitely help. I do have more reference here to go through. Yeah, so I think in the next video I'll probably decide on an expression to give him, and then we will, once the expression's in place, that's when I feel a lot more comfortable about breaking symmetry and then aligning it more to where his face is not symmetrical. So that'll probably be in the next couple of videos. See you next time. Bye.